Hi, I'm Cara Putnam with Crossroads School of Dog Training, and I'm here today to talk about something that I love to talk about, which is dog food. This is the food that I feed my dogs, and it's the food that I recommend to all of my dog training customers. The brand is Life's Abundance. My introduction to dog food came probably like yours, which was when I got my first dog and I had to figure out what to feed that dog. I feel so lucky that at 10 weeks old, I hooked up with a professional trainer and he recommended a holistic, natural, nutritious meal for my dog in the form of kibble. And I didn't know much about dog food. I just listened to what he had to say, and my dogs did great on it. One of the things he indicated back then was if you switch to a healthier food, your dog will poop less. And believe it or not, that was like what we thought, okay, cool, that sounds good. Well, it wasn't until I became a professional dog trainer and I saw dogs on a daily basis that I could see the difference in the animal who was on a better food. And I really jumped in with both feet to learn a little bit about dog food. What we put in our dogs really can make the difference. Aside from training, one of the best things we can do is feed them a nutritious, wholesome meal. That food that I was introduced to back then is no longer available. And so I was kind of having to look for something new. I had always known about Life's Abundance because Life's Abundance was also developed back then in 1999. And there were really, back then, not a lot of choices, honestly, of a healthy dog food. Anyway, I started feeding Life's Abundance to my dogs 6 years ago, and I have to say I was trepidatious to make the switch because I was such a believer. I was so loyal to that previous product, but I had really done my due diligence. I had talked to breeders. I had talked to people who had been feeding this food, and hands down, everybody was in love with it. So I started to dig into the company as a whole and learn about dog food. Life's Abundance was established in 1999. The original formulator of the dog food, her name is Dr. Jane Bix. She's now since retired, but I had the pleasure of speaking with her. Believe it or not, as representatives for this food, we used to be able to pick up the phone and call her. And she was very gracious and generous with her time to share any question, to answer any questions we had about the food. 20 years ago, I realized that she was really a pioneer. She was on the cutting edge of trying to create a product that was a lot healthier than what was on the market. Back then, if you remember, corn was kind of a big thing. Corn was actually being used as the protein source. And we now know that corn is not very digestible to dogs. And there was wheat gluten, artificial colors were put into the food, interesting shapes like bones and stars, and some kibble were yellow and red and green. So they were using artificial colors to make it appealing to the human, not because it was healthy for the animal. The food, because it needed to sit on the shelf, was being preserved with chemicals. So really, it was pretty crappy. So Dr. Jane, she's a holistic veterinarian, and everything that she wanted to put into her kibble, she took this holistic approach. That she wanted to put ingredients into this bag of kibble, into each kibble that was really going to benefit the dog in a particular way. So Dr. Jane really is authentic in her advertising, and that's something that I don't really believe that some of these large commercially produced dog foods have much truth in advertising. I don't trust that what they have on the bag as an ingredient is actually in that food. And there's stories about why I feel that way. But long story short, you can trust that what is in this dog food is in there for a reason, and that the right amount is in there to do something. There's a purpose for every ingredient in the food. One major difference between Life's Abundance and many other pet foods is our foods have never been involved in a recall. Recalls are a result of bacteria being found in food, like salmonella and others. Even contaminants, foreign objects have been found in dog food. So Life's Abundance products have never been involved in a recall. I challenge you to Google the dog food that you're feeding now and the word recall and find out. Most dog foods that are currently on the market, even premium, very expensive foods, have been involved in some kind of recall, and frequently, not just like one recall, but several over the last 6 to 8 years. So Life's Abundance has never had a recall. One thing that makes this product for us really unique is how it's made. The company gets their ingredients weekly, and the food is cooked in small batches frequently, and it's shipped out on Fridays, and it gets shipped right to our door. So as far as I know, that's the freshest kibble I know of. Dogs love it. No doubt it's more nutritious for dogs than a stale food. Did you know that when you go to the pet store or the grocery store, hopefully after this you won't buy your food at a grocery store. There's much better options for you, but those foods that are sitting on that shelf could be 6 months to a year or older. So tell me, company, how do you really feel about the health and wellness of my dog if you're going to sell me a kibble that is a year old? To me, that kind of does it for me right there. So anyway, we get a fresh kibble shipped right to our door. It is affordable. A 40-pound bag costs $77, and we sell 40-pound bag, 20-pound bag, and this small little dude here. I'm going to come back to the price in just a second, but I want to talk a little bit about the ingredients. Dr. Jane has given tons of information to us about the every ingredient in our product, in this product. Protein source is a big talking point right now. If you go to the pet food store, you'll see bags with all kinds of protein sources, from bison to venison to duck, salmon, and the new fad is kangaroo. And what Dr. Jane has to say is our protein sources, we have 3 protein sources: chicken, fish, and egg. And she said chicken, fish, and egg are excellent protein sources for dogs. They're readily available, they're affordable, and most importantly, she selected those because of their digestibility. When it comes to a dog food, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get ingredients into that kibble that are nutritious and digestible for the dog. If you've got a bunch of stuff going out as waste, your dog is not digesting it. That means that there are fillers in that dog food. 20 years ago, it would have been very hard to find a food other than Life's Abundance, a good holistic product that did not have a bunch of crap in it. Back then, if you were buying dog food back then, you would have found corn as a protein source, wheat gluten. Those are all fillers, and they just come out the other end. Products were being preserved with chemical preservatives, which we know now are not necessary or healthy for the dogs. They were sprayed with artificial flavor. The food tasted so crappy because of the way it was cooked and the low quality of ingredient, they would actually spray it with fat so the dogs would even eat it. So of course, with Life's Abundance, there's no corn, there's no wheat gluten, no artificial colors, no artificial flavors, no chemical preservatives. It's a very clean food. So I like the fact it's cooked in small batches, it's shipped to our door, and it's the freshest kibble that I really know about. Some of you might want to know the carbohydrates. This is not a grain-free product. This is the all life stages. Life's Abundance does have a grain-free, and if that's what you're interested in, go for it. I'm not interested in grain-free. I stick with the all life stages traditional food. The carbohydrates that are in this food are oat groats and brown rice. It's fine for dogs, good for dogs, and it has some reasons why Dr. Jane has put that in there for the health and well-being of our animals. Now, I wanted to go back to the price. Let's do a little comparison real quick. So I went to a local feed store and I bought a pretty popular brand. It's called Taste of the Wild, and it was a small bag like this. And I looked at how much they said to feed a 60-pound dog, and I measured out 5 days of dog food with that food. And actually, it was exactly 5 days, whatever. I think it was I can't remember how many pounds this is. Maybe, can't remember. Anyway, it was exactly 5 days in that bag of dog food. And if you can see here, that was the amount to feed a dog for 5 days on Taste of the Wild. Then I did the same measurement. I looked at a 60-pound dog, and we feed just under 2 cups a day. And here's our difference. So for 5 days, you can see we do feed our dogs less. So when you look at a dog food price comparison, you really can't look at the cost of the bag versus the cost of the bag. You really need to look at a cost per feeding, cost per day. And also, kind of interesting, I had known this, but Taste of the Wild is a commercially made food. It's made by one of the largest pet food companies out there right now. They're called Diamond Pet Foods. And if you go to buy a dog food, Taste of the Wild on like Chewy.com, they're selling it in a 28-pound bag for $48.99. So of course that sounds, oh my gosh, $48.99 for 28 pounds. That's a lot less expensive than $77. But remember what I said, our 40-pound bag is going to last 73 days. And this Taste of the Wild is definitely going to not last that long. So the price comparison, it's actually probably more affordable to do Life's Abundance. Okay, here's a little fact for you. Diamond Pet Foods, like I said, they're one of the largest commercial pet foods, and they make their food, and they ship it worldwide. Products like Chicken Soup, Country Value, Diamond Naturals, Kirkland, Natural Balance Dry, Nature's Domain, Premium Edge, Solid Gold, Taste of the Wild, and Wellness. They manufacture all those foods. What, they can't just pick one? You know, it's all about marketing, right? I can even visualize some of these bags in my head. The Chicken Soup bag, I've kind of visualized that. The Natural Domain, I've kind of visualized that bag. They really have excellent marketing. Taste of the Wild, you know, they've got a wolf on their bag. Dr. Jane laughs and says, we have a dog on our bag because we sell dog food, and what's in here is perfectly balanced for dogs. So maybe you don't think too much about your dog food. Maybe you do. Maybe you're like me and you're one of those geeks that just wants as much information as possible. But I'd just like to introduce you to a super high quality, trustworthy food that you can have shipped right to your door for an affordable price. So I hope you'll give it a try. You can go to my website to order. The website is www.trainyourdog.us, as in United States. Thanks for listening, and I look forward to introducing you to this great product that can really enhance the overall wellness of your dog, which I know you love so much. They are worth learning how to train, and they're worth feeding an excellent quality food because they are such a big part of our family. Thanks, and have a great day.